Hey everyone, it's Kylie from Pained Wing. I've been out for a little bit sick, but now that my voice is back, I thought I'd give a little update on what I've been up to. For the last couple of weeks, I've been working on paintings for an upcoming art show. The show will be a solo exhibition, and I'll be focusing on creating local wildlife with watercolors, which isn't too far from what I normally do. Here I am painting one of the pieces that will be in the show. This is a ring-necked pheasant. I'm painting this piece on 16 by 20 inch cold press Arches block paper. I am based out of South Dakota, and the ring-necked pheasant is the state's bird, so I thought I'd for sure include it. I will also be creating a tutorial of this piece for Patreon, and should hopefully have that uploaded at the end of the week. For this art show, I'm not only painting birds, but also be including some mammals as well. I mentioned in one of my previous videos that I want to expand on what I paint, to not only include birds, but to include other types of wildlife. I will also be painting some larger pieces for the show as well, which was another one of my goals. After I complete the pheasant, I'll show you guys some of the other pieces I've painted that I may or may not include in the show. So here's a painting of a buffalo that I painted the other day. This one is on 18 by 24 inch Arches watercolor paper. I might add a couple more details on this piece, but otherwise it is pretty close to being finished. And here's a Sandhill Crane. This is also on 18 by 24 inch paper, and these two are the largest pieces I've made for the show so far. This piece is pretty simple, but it's also quite pretty. I had a lot of fun creating the blooms in the wash. Next up is a white-tailed deer fawn, and probably one of my favorite pieces. On this piece I use masking fluid for the spots on the fur, which I normally don't use. And then this one here is 16 by 20 inches, so it's a little smaller than the last two pieces. Next is a bighorn sheep. I'm really happy with how this one turned out, but I wish I went a little larger with it. And then here's the pheasant you just saw me paint. Again, this is on 16 by 20 inch paper. Next up is a painting of a coyote. This one's a little different because I decided to paint horizontally instead of vertically, and this was probably one of the more challenging pieces I painted. And then next is a pronghorn, or also known as American antelope. This is one of the first mammals I painted in this series and helped inspire the rest of them. Now I'll be moving on to some of the smaller pieces I painted. This here is a red wing blackbird, and these guys are everywhere in the state. And then this is a house finch. I'm not sure if I'll include this one because it doesn't quite fit in. And a barn swallow. And these ones are all on 9 by 12 inch paper. And then here is a house sparrow. And here's a northern cardinal. I usually always include a cardinal in my shows because they're always requested. And here's a house wren. And then a chipping sparrow. And this chipping sparrow is on slightly smaller paper. It's on 8 by 10 inch paper. And this nuthatch here is on 8 by 8 inch paper, the smallest size I ever use. And here are the three different sizes compared. I have a 9 by 12 inch, an 8 by 10 inch, and 8 by 8 inch. And here are a few other 8 by 8 inch pieces I painted recently. Here's a chickadee, and the other is a wren. And here are a couple other large bird paintings I created recently. This is of a great blue heron, and the other one is of a great horned owl. I won't be including all of these paintings in the show, and I might even create some more. I'll also be framing my own art for the show in order to save some money. Here are some examples of some frames I've made. I haven't decided whether I'll be framing them in a light maple or in a walnut wood. I like the lightness of the maple, and it sort of has a classic gallery look to it. It's also a little bit more affordable than the walnut. I haven't quite decided which wood I'll be using. Here's an example of the walnut frames I used for my last exhibition. They are also the frames I used in my previous video showing how I frame my art. For the show, I'll be needing about 15 pieces, and I haven't quite decided which ones I'll be using yet. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll try to post another update on the art show soon. Thank you.